Let me guess, you've got a brilliant idea that's been sitting in your drafts folder for months. That course you've been almost ready to launch since 2021. That book outline that just needs one more revision. That new idea that's been sitting in your head taking up space. I'm Kendra Losee, and this is the 50th episode of the Invisible to Invincible podcast. And today, we're talking about something really important. We're talking about Perfection Island, that place where experts like you can get stranded, overthinking and overpreparing instead of actually showing up. Trust me, I know this island well. Last December, I had a simple idea for a VIP day package, but my quick reference document suddenly morphed into a 45-page monster with every possible scenario meticulously documented. And precisely one client has had the opportunity to experience that VIP day so far. Why? Because I was too busy perfecting it rather than telling people about it, rather than launching the thing. I was busy designing the thing. Does that sound familiar? Because here's the brutal truth. Your expertise, that deep knowledge that you've spent years developing, might be the very thing keeping you invisible. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly why and what to do about it. Did you ever watch Lost? Do you remember Desmond? He was trapped in the hatch. He was pushing that button every 108 minutes. That is perfectionism. You think you're maintaining standards, but really you're just stuck in a loop, unable to escape and do the work you're meant to do. You're constantly preparing. You're constantly worrying. So grab your compass and, honestly, maybe a good coffee or a stiff drink, because today we're plotting your escape from Perfection Island. Your wisdom deserves to be shared, especially if you don't think it's perfect yet. Here's why being an expert is actually working against you. It's the expertise paradox. You have spent decades mastering your craft, and that's the problem. See, the longer you've been at something, the more you see all the nuances, all the exceptions, all the it depends moments. You can't unsee the complexity once you know it's there. And that complexity becomes quicksand for your content creation and your visibility efforts. When you first learned your craft, that thing you're really good at, everything seems simpler. You saw clear patterns and straightforward solutions. But with experience comes awareness of all the edge cases, the rare exceptions, and the subtle distinctions that most people never notice. That's what makes you so good. But this is also why the 22-year-old who's amazing with 6 months of experience and learning something new has no trouble creating content every day, while you, with 20 years of expertise, struggle to post maybe even once a month. They genuinely don't see or experience the complexity that you see. And their naivete is actually their superpower when it comes to visibility. It's like if you're a new parent or when you see new parents and they suddenly realize all the dangers in their world that their child doesn't see. The kids are fearlessly running around with scissors while their parents are mentally cataloging every sharp corner and choking hazard. Their awareness, while valuable, can be paralyzing. They're trying to keep their kids in the safe bubble. And the same thing happens with your expertise. You know all the ways something can go wrong and all the caveats that should be mentioned, all the nuances that responsible experts like you should acknowledge. It's part of what makes you so good. But here's what I've learned through 50 episodes of this podcast and working with dozens of experts. Your audience, they don't need your complete knowledge. What they need is the next step. They need the part of your expertise that helps them move forward from where they are now. If you start to tell them the 40 things they need to consider, you are going to paralyze them. And yes, There's 100 things they'll eventually need to know. They'll need to know those 40 things, but they can't absorb those all at once. And while you're trying to figure out how to package all those things perfectly, they're getting nothing because they don't have access to your brain and they don't have access to your hard drive where everything's collecting digital dust. And this is why less experienced competitors often outpace seasoned experts in visibility. They're not burdened by the weight of everything they know. They just share what they know, and it's easy for them because they just learned it 6 months ago. Instead of seeing your experience as a burden, let's talk about how to turn it into your greatest asset. But first, let's look at why we Gen Xers and millennials tend to get particularly trapped in this perfection loop. Why does that happen? Here's the thing. The generational perfectionism trap has snared so many of us. If you're Gen X or a millennial, you were raised in an era where expertise meant something. You didn't just declare yourself an expert. You became one through years of study, practice, and paying your dues. Remember when we actually had to go to the library for research and look in the card catalogs and look online? When getting published meant convincing a gatekeeper that you were worthy, we were taught to master something before sharing it, to get our credentials, to get our degrees, to know our stuff backwards and forwards, to triple check before speaking up. And now people are documenting their entire learning journey on TikTok, building audiences while still figuring things out. And they're monetizing their beginner's mind. And here's the part that makes us often want to throw our coffee mug against the wall because it is working for them. They're not waiting to be perfect. They're not waiting for permission. They don't have to go through a gatekeeper anymore. And they're certainly not waiting until they've accumulated 20 years of experience on this topic before they dare to have a voice, before they dare to take up space online. While we're over here thinking, I need 3 more case studies before I can confidently talk about this approach, they've already published a book, launched a course, and built a community around the 2 case studies they do have. And one of them's probably themselves. This isn't about bashing younger generations. Honestly, they've got this part right. It's about recognizing that the professional values we've internalized, thoroughness, comprehensive knowledge, careful vetting, understanding we have to please a gatekeeper, have become the very chains that are tying us up and keeping us stranded on Perfection Island. And the truth is, your decades of experience give you depth and wisdom and insight that they can't touch. But their willingness to share imperfectly gives them a reach you can't match until you decide to escape the perfection trap. What keeps me up at night, and I bet it does you too, is watching people with half your experience and a quarter of your knowledge and age, let's be clear, absolutely killing it online while you're still preparing to show up. You know exactly who I'm talking about. That person who's been in your industry for maybe 3 minutes or 3 years, who now has 50,000 followers and is bragging about how all her trips while you're toiling away. The one who simplifies your life's work into a cute little carousel post that goes viral. The one who's booked 6 solid months out while you're still perfecting your website title and headline. Oh my God. It's maddening, isn't it? But here's the brutal truth. They're succeeding not despite their lack of expertise, but often they're succeeding because of it. They're not weighed down by those 4 chains of Perfection Island. And what are those chains? The first one, chain number 1, is the fear of peer judgment. Will my colleagues think this is beneath me? This is the voice that says, I can't possibly create a 5 tips post or do this or do that because my peers would roll their eyes. They're going to point out all the things that I don't have right. And meanwhile, your potential clients are eating up those digestible formats from somebody else. And you know what's most important here? Your peers are not your audience. They're not paying your bills. And most of them are stuck on their own islands of perfectionism or procrastination or whatever island they're on. They're stuck there. Chain number 2, analysis paralysis. I need to consider every angle first. And this one's a killer. I've seen so many approaches, methodologies, case studies that you can't present just one way forward. You feel compelled to address every possible scenario, exception, and alternative view while you're mapping out your comprehensive framework that takes everything into mind and has 47 stages. Someone else is offering one clear path that actually gets followed because a confused mind is not going to purchase. They're not going to buy. The third chain, legacy anxiety. It's when you find yourself asking, is this worthy of my decades of experience? After 15, 20, 30 years in your field, everything you put out feels like it should reflect the sum total of your experience. It should be profound. It should be groundbreaking. It should be worth waiting for. It should be the weight and heft of boom, a pile of old encyclopedias. But while you're crafting your magnum opus, your audience is getting practical help from business owners and creators who don't feel that burden. Chain number 4, over responsibility. I can't put out anything that's not comprehensive. This is the expert's curse. You know that every piece of advice has exceptions. You feel ethically obligated to cover all the bases, to include all the disclaimers, to prevent any possible misunderstanding. And meanwhile, your audience is drowning in complexity while craving clarity. I know this. I've done this. I've taught classes this way. I've learned. These chains feel like integrity, professionalism. They feel like responsibility. They feel the heft and the magnitude of your experience, but they're keeping you trapped. They're weighing you down while watching others sail freely past your island. They're having fun on their boats. They're zigzagging all around in the water. Look, here's the deal. I'm not suggesting you dumb down your expertise or become irresponsible with your knowledge. I'm suggesting that sharing some of your wisdom imperfectly is infinitely more valuable than sharing none of it perfectly. Why should you care? Well, what is the price you're paying when you hang out too long on Perfection Island? Let's talk about it. There's the very real math. Every day you wait to share your wisdom is a day someone who needs it doesn't get to learn from you. And that's not just philosophical, it's practical. And it's selfish. Your expertise solves real problems for real people. And when you withhold it, these problems persist. And the longer you wait, the more they're looking elsewhere and continuing to struggle as they search for solutions. But here's the facts about what that perfectionism costs you, because the opportunity cost of perfectionism adds up quickly. Let me walk you through some uncomfortable calculations that honestly I had to go through myself. For example, if you're charging $5,000 for a VIP day, hypothetically, that you haven't launched because you're still perfecting it and you delayed just 3 months, if you had one client a month, that's potentially $15,000 in missed revenue. 3 clients who would have said yes, but never got to solve their problem with you because you never asked. You were busy in your head playing with AI and testing out all the theories, hypothetically speaking, of course. Or consider all those potential subscribers and clients who never got to find you because you haven't created that lead magnet or launched that podcast or created a few videos. These are not just missed connections. They're missed income opportunities that compound with every passing month. These costs stack up and they grow. And while you're busy perfecting and planning, creating the best ideas ever, real money is slipping through your fingers. But it's not just financial reasons. There's the mid-career trap that so many of us fall into as well. You've got too much invested to play small, but too much at stake to risk being wrong. You feel like everything you put out should reflect that depth of experience. It should be profound, definitive. Yet that very pressure creates paralysis. You feel like your reputation is on the line with every post, video, and offering. And so you create nothing. The ultimate reputation risk isn't being imperfect, it's being invisible. That takes us to the harsh reality of today's attention economy. While you're polishing your masterpiece, your potential clients are giving their attention to whoever actually showed up. Attention doesn't wait. Attention doesn't accumulate. You can't bank it for later. Your silence isn't interpreted as careful consideration. It's interpreted as irrelevance. In a world where everybody's shouting, your thoughtful pause while you're planning and hanging out on Perfection Island looks like you have nothing to say. A few years ago, I worked with a client who had us meet every single week for 6 months to plan his new service offering and plan every contingency. We prepared for months, building out every possible scenario. I interviewed past clients to see if it was something they'd be interested in. The plan honestly became more complex and just overwhelming. It could have won every reality show in existence. It was so well thought out. Like there was no way it was bulletproof. But you know what? The product never launched. The added things drove the price up and it became too involved, too detailed, too complex. And then a competitor launched a simple beta idea of the product that was the heart of the product at a fraction of the price. And the client scrapped the project. It was a fundamental lesson. Because while we're busy trying to think of every contingency, filling our heads and our hard drives with plans and ideas until things feel right, others are getting ahead, launching in a perfectly imperfect way, and their audience is excited about it because they're solving a problem today. And that's when I realized the true cost of perfectionism isn't just financial. It's the impact that you never get to make, the people you never get to help, and the difference you never get to see. But the good news is that you're not stuck on this expensive and frequently lonely, although it's filled with more resonance than Coachella main stage area. You're not stuck on this place of perfectionism. So let's get you off the island. All right, enough about the problem. Here's how you actually escape from Perfection Island. No theoretical BS, just practical tactics that work because I use them myself and they've worked for my clients too. First up is the 80-20 rule for experts. You already know the Pareto principle. 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. But here's how it applies specifically to your expertise. What tiny slice of your knowledge would make the biggest difference for your audience right now, for your clients right now? Not the whole comprehensive framework, just the 20% that solves 80% of their immediate problems. When I work with clients who've been stuck for months trying to create the perfect program or the perfect course, I ask them 3 questions to cut through the complexity. What's the one thing someone needs to know first? This is about identifying the foundational concept, the domino that makes all the other dominoes fall. For example, in the world of visibility, before I teach camera confidence techniques or content strategies or storytelling, people need to understand that confidence is a skill. It's not a feeling. And as we work on that one concept changes everything else. It's the domino. What's the one concept in your field? Question 2. What took you years to learn that could save someone months of struggle? This is where your experience becomes an asset instead of a liability. What shortcuts did you discover the hard way? What misconceptions did you have to unlearn? What wisdom could have saved you tremendous amount of time and energy if you'd known it from the beginning? They're often simple principles or perspectives that completely change how someone approaches the work. And they are gold for your audience. Question 3, what can people implement today without needing the whole system? What's the smallest viable action that creates momentum? Not the perfect action, the doable action. The thing someone could implement in the next 24 hours and see even a tiny result. Now, to ensure you actually create content and share content instead of endlessly refining it, here's some constraints. These constraints work as guardrails to keep me on track. I'm going to share them with you. And today I'm going to focus on time restraints because in the world of procrastinating in the form of perfectionism, that's been keeping many talented experts like you stranded on Perfection Island. There's 3. The first one is the just get started rule. Set a timer for 10 minutes to get something out of your head and into the form of a video. Share a content idea, whatever it is. Use that 10 minutes and just get started. Create a post, write the idea down. You're taking action. And that's your first step toward creating and building momentum. Then there's the 60-second minute rule when creating content. Set a timer for 60 minutes, and when it dings, you ship what you have, period. No more just one edit. No more let me sleep on it. No more deleting every video draft because you don't like the way you sound. If it's a LinkedIn post, hit publish. If it's an email, send it. If it's a video, upload it. Is it going to be perfect? No, absolutely it will not be perfect. Will it help someone? Absolutely yes. And that's the point. The last thing, let's talk about the 24-hour decision. For business decisions that are keeping you stuck, should I create this course? Should I do this? Should I do that? Give yourself 24 hours to decide and then commit, because not making a decision is making a decision. It's choosing stagnation. It's choosing to be stuck and keep hanging out alone on Perfection Island. After 24 hours, either move forward or take the option off the table. This prevents the maybe later that keeps so many experts in limbo for months or years. It forces us to decide, to make that choice and keep going. It helps continue building momentum. There are other constraints that we can add besides time, like length of whatever you're creating, your topics, the type of content you're creating, and the frequency or cadence that you're delivering it in. And I'll cover those another time. I just want to focus on time because it's important to get you moving and get off of Perfection Island. It's not a fun place to be. And finally, this might be the most important part. Give yourself a permission slip. Say this out loud with me. I give myself permission to share work that's helpful now, even if it's not fully comprehensive or perfect. Especially if it's not fully comprehensive or perfect. Simply, give yourself permission to create what you might think of as junk, because you're just getting started, and to get better, you have to do the thing. You can't wake up and automatically run a marathon. Most of us can't. You have to do the thing to learn it, to get better, to practice. And I know this sounds simple, but there is real power in literally giving yourself permission. Our perfectionism often comes from an unspoken belief that we don't have the right to share anything other than our absolute best work. That belief is keeping your knowledge locked away when it could be helping people. Your imperfect action today beats your perfect inaction tomorrow every single time. So give yourself permission to create junk. Have fun with it, because your junk might be exactly what another person needs to see or hear. Those aren't just nice ideas, they're escape tools. Use them today, not when you feel ready, not when conditions are perfect and it's smooth sailing and the water's flat and crystal and the sun's out. No, use them today. Now, let me share one quick reflection from my 50 episodes of this podcast. We're 50 episodes into this podcast and this journey, and I've discovered so many crucial patterns about visibility and success. And here's the thing, the people who succeed aren't necessarily smarter, more talented, or even more knowledgeable than you. What separates them is their willingness to take action before they feel ready. They understand that clarity comes from action, not contemplation. They've learned to value progress over perfection. They're not busy hiding from the perfection police. They've discovered that sharing wisdom imperfectly creates more impact than hoarding it until it's flawless. Then they come on my podcast and share what they've learned, how they got there. You know, one of the most powerful transformations and changes in this way that I've witnessed in the past year, I've had a few clients that fit this story, but we're going to pull them together into this one. We're going to call him Mike. And Mike came to me and he said he had my name on a sticky note on his computer monitor for more than 12 months before he finally reached out. That's more than a year of knowing he needed help, but not taking action. And when I asked him what finally prompted him to call, to reach out, he said, I realized I needed to feel like someone who deserved visibility, who wasn't an imposter. I needed to feel like I was worthy of being seen. And he spent a year waiting to feel ready, to feel worthy, to feel like his business was professional enough to be visible. Once we began working together and he began to show up consistently, everything changed. Now he's regularly doing public speaking events. He's inundated with new leads and he landed his dream client. And he's so busy, it's all he can do to keep up. And he loves it. He's doing the things he loves and he's showing up in ways that previously would have terrified him. You want to know the irony? His business was worth visibility all along. He was worthy of visibility all along. The only thing that changed was his willingness to show up and be seen before he felt 100% ready. And, you know, my own journey mirrors this. When I started my first regular live video podcast, Cannabis Marketing Live, all puff, no fluff, I agonized over every detail, the format, the questions, the intro, the outro, the music. And let's be clear, the time I spent looking at YouTube and Pinterest for studio backdrops, it's truly embarrassing the ways that I found to procrastinate instead of starting before I felt ready, before things were perfect. I could already be on episode 100 if I'd spent less time planning and trying to be perfect and more time actually showing up and recording. But the real turning point came when I committed to just showing up, ready or not. Started doing live video, hit that go live button. After pivoting my business, I launched this podcast before I felt ready. And you know what? That's when the opportunities started. Speaking engagements, interview requests, book opportunities. Wrote the digital etiquette book. Even the Washington Post reached out to interview me. And none of this came from waiting until I was perfect, until feeling perfect. It came from showing up consistently, even when I didn't feel ready. If I could go back and whisper one thing to myself 50 episodes ago, it would be this. Clarity comes from action, not contemplation. The more you do the thing, the easier the thing becomes. You don't think your way to clarity. You act there. Every episode, every video, every post, every email teaches me something that no amount of preparation could have revealed for me. The biggest lie we tell ourselves as experts is that we need to have everything figured out before we begin. But the truth is, beginning is how we figure things out. So as I celebrate this milestone with you, not because 50 is some magic number, but because it represents 50 times I chose action over perfection and showed up. It's 50 times I chose to show up as myself and do the thing. And now I'm inviting you to do the same. What's one piece of expertise that you could share today? Not when you feel ready, not when it's perfect, but today. Because someone out there needs exactly what you know right now. So what now? What's your escape plan? How do you go from here? So this is how you can escape from Perfection Island. And I'm keeping it deliberately simple. Your one job today, yes, today, is to take one thing you know. Doesn't matter how big or how small, just pick something your audience might need to hear and share it imperfectly, without apology, without disclaimers. Just share what you know, because what you know matters. It could be a LinkedIn post, a quick video, an email to your list, even a conversation with a potential client where you give them the one next step they need. You don't need to tell them everything. The format doesn't matter. The fact that you're taking action does. Speaking of taking action, remember that 45-page VIP document I mentioned that never saw the light of day? I finally relaunched those VIP days, and they've become one of my favorite offerings in my business. My Confident Visibility VIP days are for experts exactly like you, people who know their stuff inside and out, but struggle with showing up consistently and confidently and sharing it in a way that connects. We spend a full day together understanding what's been keeping you stuck, mapping out your strategy, and even creating content and stories that feel like you. This way, you can show up and be visible even when that perfection monster is in your head, trying to pull you back to the island, trying to pull you back. So visit KendraLosee.com to schedule a call and let's talk if you're ready to escape Perfection Island and build a visibility approach that ensures you never get stranded there again. I only open a limited number of spots each month, and they are going to fill up quickly. But whether you work with me or not, here's what matters. Don't wait until you feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Just start. Start today. That readiness you're waiting for comes from doing, not from preparing to do. And you know what? I would love to see your escape attempt, what you're finally putting out into the world when you start taking action. Tag me on social media, send me a message letting me know what expertise you're finally sharing. I want to celebrate that courage. I want to celebrate that step. And let me leave you with this thought as we wrap up episode 50. Your most valuable asset isn't your expertise. It's your willingness to share that expertise while it's relevant. Knowledge has an expiration date. The window where your wisdom is most needed is now, not when you feel ready to share it. Take that first step off Perfection Island today. The mainland of impact is waiting, and it's so much more fun and fulfilling than the isolated loneliness of perfection. I'll see you over here. Till next time, I'm Kendra Losee, and this is the Invisible to Invincible podcast. Thank you for joining me for 50 episodes, and here's to 50 more. All of them imperfect, all of them invaluable, and all of them showing up when they're needed.